We have the patch notes for patch 14.6 with actually a ton of changes right now because there are a lot of weird comps that kind of came up and down and a few that are missing. So right now we have buffs to Syndicate, Exotech, and Vanguards for the traits, Darius, Echo, Jin, Ross, and Vayne for the 2 costs. I've been missing out on Vayne a bit. Vayne used to be my go-to carry like a few patches ago, but recently, after her first nerfs, completely unplayable, so I'm glad that she's getting a few buffs back. Gragas, Misfortune, Senna, and Varus also getting buffed, along with Garen, Cho'Gath, and LeBlanc. Alter Ego is getting changed, and then they're also buffing 8 items. It looks like 3 of them are the new items. Pretty much the new items out of all of them. Some of them are really good, some of them are really bad. But you could go on over to teamfight.lol and go over to items, and then you could tell a lot of them by like how often they're played in the play rate, and then mixing it in a little bit with their average placement, but pretty much like some of them just not as good as the other ones right now. Like the new Rage Blade, it's built a bunch, but it does feel a little bit different. But I wouldn't be surprised if some of the changes they made are to some of the ones that feel a little lackluster. But Dynamo, Golden Ox being nerfed, Kog'Maw, 5 different augments, and 4 different items. So let's get right into the changes. We have the rotating shop. Pengoose Party's also here, which is the 6-year anniversary. That means I've been pretty much doing this for 6 years also, like 5.5 probably. So that should be a fun time too, especially if you like returning traits. Speaking of the other game modes, in Talker's Trial, they're lowering the difficulty a bit. And then now most importantly, the loot system. So didn't they make some loot changes like 1 or 2 patches ago? Yeah, they talk about that a little bit here. They made some changes in 14.4 to help combat inflation a bit, but we weren't quite happy with where they landed, so we went back and made some more adjustments, removing some of the extreme low roll scenarios involving items and gold. Alright, that's good. We're mostly focused on raising the minimum item and orb drop power, which may make opening encounters like Scuttle Puddle and Crab Rave feel extra strong, especially when combined with Cyber City hacks. Okay, so stage 2, 3, and 4 PvE rounds are now generally more consistent and will always drop some items and some gold. But yeah, that was weird. There were times where sometimes you'd get a ton of gold, no items, when you're like, oh, I really need an item. There are other times where you're like, I have a bunch of items already, and then you get like 10 more, and then you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have built all these items because I could have went for something a bit more perfect, and then you get no gold. So it feels weird. So they're making it more consistent, which is nice. That means it's more predictable. You can plan around it a little bit better. The total average item count from PvE rounds has increased. The total average gold count has decreased. That's very important too. Scuttle Puddle and Crab Rave now also give 1 extra component, so that's going to be really good in a lot of the comps that like a lot of items, such as those with multiple carries. But in general, again, in this set, there has been inflation. Like, even with these nerfs, I still think compared to previous sets, there still is inflation. So that's why you're getting a lot of items on a lot of your different units. So now onto encounters. 2-star encounter lowered the odds of seeing a 2-star champion in the early game. And then for the large changes, let's start off with items. They say that the 4.5 item overhaul landed in a great spot. I'd say I'd agree. Most of them were pretty decent. So let's see what they're changing. Spirit Visage is being bumped up by 100 health. Yeah, no one was really building that. I mean, you build it, but compared to Redemption was like infinitely better, right? Sterix Gauge shield reduction is going to be 60% to 50%. Shield duration 6 to 5. Next up, we have Void Staff, shred duration 3 to 5 seconds. I wonder what Last Whispers is. What is Last Whisper? Last Whispers is 3 seconds, so I guess they started to make it the same at first just to see what would happen, but I'm guessing what went wrong is that with Void Staff, you cast your ability, and it's normally like an AoE effect. Then when you do your next cast, sometimes it takes more than 3 seconds, and then you can't get the magic penetration on like some of those AoE units. That's my guess at least. So I guess they're talking about it a little bit here. Void Staff is already performing fine, great on Annie, so we're focusing on a small quality of life change so casters that take a while to get their second cast off now have a longer window to benefit from the shred that they've applied. Yeah, makes complete sense. Next up we have is Radiant items, buffing the least shiny and nerfing the most. Radiant Gwynsu's is going to get a 10% buff, pretty sizable, and 10 AP. Spirit Visage, 200 health and 3% durability. Sterix Mega Shield, shield duration is going to be decreased. Chain Striker, 40 to 35% attack speed. Crit chance, 40 to 35. Damage amp is going to be dropped a bit. And then Void Staff, Radiant is going to have more mana, more attack speed, and more ability power. A lot of attack speed at that. Wow, that is an incredible amount. Let's check out the Radiant items a little bit because I am curious because no one has enough time to play with every single Radiant item. Literally, you have to use data to check these because even if you play like 500 games every single patch, you're probably not even playing half the Radiant items in that time. But we can see right here, Gwynsu's Void Staff and the Spirit Visage, yeah, pretty much all on the bottom there. Next up we have is Artifacts. We have Flicker Blade, attack speed per stack 8 to 7%, Static Shiv 30 to 40, Static Shiv AP up a little bit, And then also the base damage, Indomitable Armor, 20 to 25, Titanic Hydra, attack speed and AD is up 15 to 20%. Again, you could just check the artifact data on this, and I would bet that most of the items we just talked about probably towards the bottom down here. And then we can move on into the traits. So traits are obviously a bigger part of the game than the items because everyone can build any item, but it's hard to go every trait, right? Dynamo base mana regen is going to be changed from 5-7-11 to 4-6-10. Do they talk about this? It's no secret Dynamo is strong. We're turning down the mana regen the trait provides for your team, but we're giving compensation mana buffs to the 2 Dynamo carries that are performing fine as is. Alright, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So it's going to be much weaker on like Aurora and things like that. For the 2 main carries, Jhin and Misfortune, they're going to be chilling. Exotech, HP per item, this one's going to be buffed up. So that's for 5 and 7 Exotech, it looks like. 3 is staying the same. So Exotech might be a pretty good trait to go deep into. I think it's a nice trait because it's very consistent. You don't have any legendaries to reach 7. So with these buffs, like I know Zeri hasn't been played that much, but I'm expecting to see a lot of Zeri in this next patch. Golden Ox base damage amp is going to be bumped up by, actually bumped down a little bit at 6 Golden Ox, and then the 6-piece chance to drop components 7% to 6%. So the Golden Ox kind of scaling is going to be a little bit worse. Still probably going to be fine though. Again, Golden Ox should be like a trait where you don't like hard force it every game, but you play it every now and then when you get like a really good game for it. But last patch it was just played a little bit too often in my opinion. Syndicate HP is going to be jumped up a little bit. Nothing too crazy there, but now let's go to the 1-cost champions. Kog'Maw ability AD is going to be nerfed at 1 and 2 star, but then buffed at 3 star. Okay, and early Kog'Maw 2 star is our best performing early game carry. Makes sense because he can hold a lot of different items. That's the great advantage of Kog'Maw, at least compared to other attack damage early game carries. Like he just holds like a wide range of items really well, and I am glad that they are buffing his 4 stars. So I've never actually had a 4-star Kog'Maw, but it would sound pretty fun. 2-cost champions, Darius base heal up by 1%, Kingpin heal per target 50 to 70, Kingpin spin damage fall off 10 to 5%. Whoa, that's a huge buff. It's all buffs. 2-cost reroll has been a bit hard to find last patch, I agree, with 1 and 4-cost strategies performing most consistently. Some buffs to secondary champions and reroll comps like Darius or Syndicate and Jhin for some of the many Oh, Jin's getting buffed too? Oh yeah, they talked about it before. Jhin mana buff 4 out of 74 to 14 out of 64. Wow, that's a huge buff. His first cast is faster, and every cast after that is also faster. Add on to the fact that Jhin was already, like, I think, a solid unit beforehand. I did skip Echo, but his ability heal is going to be bumped up across the board. LeBlanc, gonna get a 10 buff at 3 stars. So I have seen a couple of 3-star LeBlanc builds back in my day, but nothing recently, so maybe this brings that back a little bit with the strategist reroll board. Ross base heal is going to get a sizable buff at 1 star. That's 70 health. That's pretty good if you play it in stage 2, right? 75 health at 2 star and 100 at 3 star. Vayne is going to get 0.5 attack speed. Okay, Vayne should be good. It's hard because like Rageblade did get changed, right? So this one isn't like that insane. I'm pretty sure you still build Rageblade on her though, so that should be fun to kind of try out. But yeah, Vayne should be back. That's a pretty big attack speed buff. I hope she's back. She was really fun to play. 3-cost champions, Gragas is going to get a buff to his mana by lowering it. Senna passive cleave AD percent is going to be charged up 5%. And then Varus, going to get a small mana buff too. I love Varus. He's probably my favorite 3-cost unit, to be fair. I love him in the Vex Exotech build with the Executioners. I just feel like he provides a lot of value for his cost level. Next one up we have is 4-cost units. Cho'Gath starting HP percent gain is going to be buffed up a little bit at 1 and 2 star, but lowered at 3. Misfortune mana buff. Okay, you're just getting 15 mana. That's, again, because of the Dynamo changes. So she should be able to cast a bit more. I think Misfortune's going to be pretty good. So with Dynamo champions gaining double the Dynamo mana regen bonus, the nerf hits extra hard. Like Jhin, we don't see Misfortune as overperforming currently, so we're giving her 15 max mana off discount. This does mean that Syndicate Misfortune comps that didn't run Dynamo will be getting a pretty sizable boost, a boost they can use when compared to the Dynamo, MF, and Elise comps of 14.5. Okay, yeah, I do kind of have more fun playing Syndicates, because I love playing with Syndicate emblem. I love having the chance to get to 7 Syndicate. I think it's really powerful. So Misfortune, better in Syndicate, worse in Dynamo. That's fine. That's a fair trade, right? 5-cost champions, Garen mana buff, 3 out of 100 to 20 out of 80. I thought Garen was always pretty solid, but you mainly just use him because he's like a random flex unit you could use, right? So they're talking about his trait, which again is good, but they're saying there's much more to him. So they're lowering their mana cost so he could show off his band wave even more. And as a note, this means the ability will only cost 50 mana if his ability hits only 2 or fewer enemies. All right, fair enough. Next up, we have our augments. Lots of different augment changes here. Final reserves base XP given 70 to 30. Wait, what? Well, that's a lot of... What? Final reserves value is far too high while also setting your goal to 90 and giving you an extra life. We're swinging pretty hard here. Yeah, 40 XP is a huge difference. Was it that OP before? Like, holy cow. I only took it in specific circumstances. I didn't think it was that strong where you just auto take it, you know? But I guess like as the set goes on, like they're talking about it here a little bit. People tend to like min-max really hard, like compared to the beginning of the set. So as the set goes on, all these weird, innocent-looking augments like final reserves could get abused a little bit, which I guess it was happening. I just didn't know it was 40 XP worth, you know, because that's a lot. If it was like 10, whatever. If it's like 20, all right, sure, but like 40 is a lot. Imagine just losing 40 gold, you know, like that's a huge amount, right? Hard commit gold per stage changed from 3 to 2. Alter ego champion augment is gonna have his max mana reduced from 70 to 60, and then the ability is gonna have his damage buffed just a tiny bit. The mana one definitely helps out a ton though. And then next we have board of directors starting increase 60 to 50%. Yeah, didn't I say last patch review that they nerfed it once before and it probably wasn't going to be enough. It was probably still going to be a very good augment. Well, now they nerfed it again. So I think it's still going to be okay. You definitely still use it when you need to use it, like if you meet the requirement of only having 3 Divinicorp units. But I guess it doesn't push a comp to like S+ tier anymore, you know? Or S++, however you wanted to define it. Overheal bonus damage is going to be changed from 130 to 110, and then speed kills starting stacks change from 2 to 1. Okay, let's go on to the small changes now. We have Alawi, 3-star ability heal, 500 to 600. I've never hit 3-star Alawi personally, but if you have, let me know. Skarner, 3-star ability, armor ratio, 385 to 425. This I have hit before. I played it in a lot of the random comps that run boom bots with them, such as like the Syndicate reroll with 2 costs. Sometimes I get a Skarner 3 for some reason. And then they have a bug fix where Ziggs with the Cyber Boss bonus would deal no damage to an enemy if they were the last enemy target alive. Oh, that would feel awful to lose like this. I've never had that happen to me. I haven't been playing Ziggs that much, but I'm glad that they are fixing that bug. All right, let's move on into the bug fixes. Speaking of bug fixes, Pacifist Boss, okay, we already talked about that one. Static Shiv no longer overflows infinite damage when versus reinforcement armies in double up. Divinicore Crown's tooltip corrected to say it grants a Spirit Visage instead of a Redemption. And then Exalted Adventures Rewards correctly replaces the removed Anima Visage with the Indomitable. Double Up's Gift Armory reward of a random completed item can no longer fail to give an item. Renekton 3-star, I mean, if you get that, you're chilling anyways, right? But it now correctly gains 10,000 max health on cast, not 30,000. All right, so I guess 3-star Renekton was too strong, and they nerfed it by 20,000 health. All right, that's fair, right? All aboard Anima Squad's Boom 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 trains now work on your partner's board when reinforcing in double up. Malicious monetization no longer fails on Zac and units with suspicious trenchcoat. The Cypher prop now correctly updates immediately at the start of each stage. And then Toma traits no longer prevents Clear Mind from working. Garen's trait mods can no longer be applied to training dummies with Syndicate emblems. Fix a bug where it becomes impossible to get 2 Prismatic Orbs with Prismatic Pipeline. Remix Rumble, 4 and 6 8-bit now grants the correct amount of AD per high score. And then Heartsteel, some cash. I'm sorry, I don't care enough about Remix Rumble to read these out. But let's look at the changes for like the main game. I'm more focused on that personally. But the patch notes will be in the description below if you want to read the Remix Rumble stuff. But essentially, like, yeah, Dynamo nerf, but like Jhin and MF, they're probably gonna be fine, right? I'm excited to try out Vayne. Vayne, again, I like playing Vayne. It's just like a cool champion to watch as she's like auto-attacking really, really quickly. I hope a Vayne reroll is back. Played her a lot in like Slayers before with Jarvan, but maybe in Anima Squad. One opens up because they did buff Alawi 3-star as well, so that'd be kind of cool to try out. But I think there's a lot in store for Exotech. Out of like all the traits that got changed this patch, I think Exotech's the one to look out for the most. Like Zeri comps are probably going to be back. Maybe there's like a reroll Varus Exotech comp, maybe one that doesn't revolve more so around Vex than Varus. Maybe you could have one centered around Varus. But of course with Exotech, you always have to check your items, just like how you have to check bunnymuffins.lol every single Friday for the patch tier list and meta. So I will be updating that on the website this Friday as per usual. But I'm looking forward to this. Again, Vayne, maybe the LeBlanc reroll could be interesting too, but probably like Vayne and Jhin are going to be my go-tos this patch. They look like they got pretty good touch-ups, and I think I just like the champions in general, but we'll see what's actually good versus what I like, because that's 2 different things, right? But that's going to be it for me today. Hopefully you all enjoyed this, and I'll see you all next time.